Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this discussion. Let me introduce everyone who's present here. I am Nehal Pimparkhare, the psychological counselor at Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing. And with me, I have my colleague Tanmay Khambete. We have with us Symbiosis mental health champions Srija, Kirti, Forum, Arpita, who have been supporting SKU counselors and have been doing a wonderful job at it. So today we are here to talk about an extremely crucial topic. So 21st to 26th of February is observed as Eating Disorders Awareness Week. And as we conclude this week, we are here to um, understand your insights and your understanding about eating disorders. So let's start and we'll get into it. Are you guys ready? All good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So my
Yes, sir.
first question to you is, how do you think there are certain beauty standards that are there? They affect our sense of self. How do you think they influence unhealthy eating? Yeah.
Ma'am, I personally believe that because of the pervading unrealistic beauty standards, women are at higher risk of suffering from the most common low self-esteem to complex problems like eating disorders, depression, and other negative effects on their mental and physical well-being. And with the media constantly portraying ideal beauty and body image comparisons, the decisions of men and women's beauty choices are globally affected. And eating disorders determine a distorted relationship between the individual, the eating behavior, and body shape. So, adolescence being a crucial age for positive and negative development of body image, the self esteem and body dissatisfaction adolescents feel are known predators of the eating disorders. And continuous pursuit for the perfect slender lean body may generate negative feelings which can result in a change in eating behavior, thereby increasing the chances of weight issues and eating disorders. And what I feel is a pivotal factor that leads to more cases of eating disorders is society being force fed social media from a young age, where people paint a pretty picture of their lives while comparing themselves to others. And the standard beauty is essentially a variable standard of what it means to be attractive, that is contingent on the feminine beauty ideals that are present in a given culture. So, for a solution, I think that psychological therapy can be a good option, and it is the most important component of eating disorder as well. So, therapy may last from few months to years, but yeah, it definitely works. And young women living with eating disorders, in particular bulimia nervosa and binge eating disorders, often engage in these distorted eating behaviors in private, and this is partly because they're ashamed of their behaviors and they're ashamed of their disease, and partly because there is an overwhelming feeling of being all alone in the world that is closely associated with eating disorders. So like at last I would like to add that being slim or zero size should never be considered as the gold standard for being beautiful. Like every body type and shape is different and has its own balance. So what matters more than being slim is being fit and healthy.
Yeah, you're right. I absolutely agree with you, Kirti, that it is about being fit, it's about being healthy. And you're right when you talk about how media influences eating, certain dysfunctional eating among men and women. And because we have certain beauty standards in place, that, oh, okay, if this is how you look, it, this equates beautiful. If you are a certain weight or a certain size, which means you would be beautiful, and that can certainly contribute in dysfunctional eating. So if you're towards the thinner side, would people, the unrealistic beauty standard of being a certain figure might promote you to indulge in more eating. If you're towards the healthier side, that might again perpetuate the whole cycle. So I really agree with you. That's a great point. Does so now when we're talking about beauty standards, the link is directly to social media, right? And how social media might promote certain beauty standards or how that might have an influence on eating. So what are your views on this idea? Yeah. Anyone would like to share? Have you guys been on major social media platforms, say Instagram or Facebook, and you see certain content there? Uh, Say the reels that are there that say, you know, what I eat in a day, or certain celebrity diets that are out there. What are your views on how that might influence eating?
I think social media has a huge impact on eating disorders. Like people save these trending posts and reels and like compare themselves from that. And what they do is they try to become like that and they try doing the same and they end up like doing that and like which may like affect them in a very unhealthy way. And like a person can see an influencer and feel a self-doubt in their body image and then after seeing the food as an alternative indulge into emotional eating habits. So like I don't feel like this is actually right. So like I think we should do something about that.
Yeah. So one thing to be mindful about is that when someone puts out a diet or when there is a celebrity who is sticking to a particular diet, it is usually done under professional guidance. That is something that we absolutely have to be mindful about. That there are doctors and nutritionists who study their body type, who study their lifestyle and prescribe these diets. And to copy a diet that directly as it is without understanding our own body, our own food needs or nutrition needs, that might be a very dangerous business. So we must be sure or be mindful that we go to the right professional in order to seek these guidance about proper eating and nutrition. So there's nothing wrong in wanting to be fit or wanting to be the best version of yourself, but it needs to be done in a proper manner with going to the proper professional, right?
Yeah, correct. And this takes me to a point where like Bhumi Pednekar gaining weight and then shedding it in like a span of maybe 6 months, which was like above 30 kg or something, and that was widely promoted and in the media. And I think if all the leading news channels and the leading newspapers covers this, I think it has an effect on masses at a large scale.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Forum, that it might have an influence. Okay, Srija and Arpita both have something to say. Okay, Srija, please.
I think one thing I also want to add about social media is about food blogging. So, there are food bloggers who promote unhealthy street foods and they look really attractive on cameras, and which often like tempts people to go for it. Now, I feel like that has not only one consequence that they indulge in like binge eating and they go for all these foods which are really unhealthy for not only their physical body but also for their mental health itself, but that also causes financial problems as well. So a lot of people often tend to spend a lot of their money on the street foods or going for these temptations that they have, and that also creates another cycle of guilt and shame, and that like I'm not having that control over myself, that I'm not being able to like stop myself from spending so much on these street food. So that also becomes a problem, and plus added to the body image and the shame and the guilt that they're already facing.
Yeah, Srija. So this is an excellent point that the other side of social media is those food blogs, or there are certain things that are called mukbang videos, or wherein people eat large quantities of food, and that certainly looks delicious. Or the reels wherein there's a street vendor who's putting in a lot of cheese, so these make you want to go grab something, right? Even if you're not feeling particularly hungry. Yeah, Arpita.
Yes, I just wanted to like add on to what Forum said that how Bhumi Pednekar lost so much weight afterwards and gained so much weight in such a less amount of time. And similarly in Dangal for his role, Amir Khan also did the same thing. Like he had to gain so much weight and then he decided to like lose weight for the movie itself, and that was like viewed and praised a lot by most people, which is I mean, yeah, what he did for a role was commendable, but the other point, to take it to another point, you get to hear comments like people saying, if they can do it, so can you, so why don't you lose weight like they did in such a short span of time? And that is also closely related to the like topics of marriage as well, that you know, you need to like get in that ideal body shape, or else you won't find a suitor. And when you say about those mukbang videos, that like remind me of you know, there are restaurants that have those challenges set, that you know, if you eat in this much amount of time, if you eat a really large bowl of maybe ramen or something, and you'll either you'll get it free, or you'll get some money, or you'll get another dish free, something like that. So people are attracted to that, and they actually eat a lot to you know, win those rewards.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So now this brings me to another part of this discussion, which is the availability of certain apps that will deliver food to your doorstep instantly. Do you think that has an effect on your eating patterns? Yeah, Forum.
So, ma'am, like I think that food delivery app like certainly has a large amount of effect, to further fuel this eating disorders, because I think that usually I had gone through some studies and seen that millennials usually are, even 75% of millennials are preferring food delivery apps for taking their meals. So I think that these the 75% is a large number in itself. So it itself shows that how much this food delivery are preferred and what will be the future. And what I think that even if like someone is going through some emotional distress, or anything, maybe exams, maybe just their relationship issues, or maybe just normal hormonal changes for the millennials, they'll prefer food as an comfort for them. And usually what I've seen in this food delivery apps is that they promote heavy discounts if you order large amount of food. And also it's surprising to see that they have also customized menus with say a family pack or a party pack. So people are compelled to order such large amount of food. First of all, they are getting it at so much at a cheaper price. And like just imagine it is so much convenient that if I'm not feeling okay, and I can sit on my couch, and I don't want to, suppose if I'm not feeling also emotionally okay, or if say I'm feeling happy also, like watching Netflix, having to sit on my couch and just ordering the food and getting so much of variety, rather than just my local restaurants around, I get so much of variety on food delivery apps. So I guess it is it is like a vicious cycle, like goes on to one on to another.
Yeah, I agree. It's the ease. Sometimes it's difficult emotions, and people tend to use food as a coping mechanism. And when it's readily available, when you can have it in 2 minutes and delivered at your doorstep, it might promote using that unhealthy coping mechanism again and again. Yeah. Srija, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to the point that, food is often used as a coping mechanism. And I also feel like that, if we think of a situation where these delivery apps were not there, it also somehow promotes like a little bit of cardio and exercise as well. If you're going out, like if you're going out normally and like you're walking, and maybe you're also like, you meet people, and it's like if you're feeling sad and you're sitting at your home and you're ordering food, it's only adding on to the loneliness and the sadness that you're already in. Provided like as an alternative option, if you go out, it'll first of all be an exercise to some extent, like your physical body will be moving, it will not be sitting at a particular place. Secondly, you would also like, you'll get the fresh air, like you'll not be sitting in the same place. So it'll also not only be beneficial for your physical health but also for your mental health. So the very fact that it becomes so easy for like a person to sit at home and order food, and people often use the excuse here that I don't have the time to like go out or like have food, so it's better that we sit at home and we order food. So I think in the busy world, people should also like need to like take some time out for themselves and also practice mindful eating, because often what happens when people indulge in binge eating, they forget, like they go in for mindless eatings, like they don't have they're like they don't consciously eat, which also takes a toll on their physical health, as well as the food doesn't like that affects the physical process of digestion to some extent as well. So I think like people in general should be more conscious about when the fact that when they are eating and what they are eating, and it should be more mindful, because eating is an essential part of existence and it's essential for survival in itself.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's especially what you said about mindful eating, in terms of how many times you've switched on Netflix and had something or this TV going on and we've forgotten how much we've eaten or what's in our plate sometimes. Okay, Kirti and Arpita, both of them have their hands raised. Kirti.
I'm like, I would like to add a little something to what Srija just said. Like, I totally agree with her viewpoint. And like, person can practice mindful control prescribed by the medical professionals alongside with a healthy lifestyle, like which includes eliminating social media as a coping mechanism, and like which can help in tapering off these forms of patterns witnessed in the mass media population. That can be really helpful.
Yeah, you're right. Under the guidance of a medical professional, this is very important. Yeah, Arpit.
Yeah, so like Shrija said that when people are bored or when they're just sitting idle, they pertain to like they just go for binge eating, or just when they don't have anything to do, they just go, I'll just pick up a snack and just have something to eat because I don't have anything else to do. And that is something a lot of us experienced in the lockdown, because outdoor activities were completely just there was just no one was going anywhere. There was no physical activity as such. Whatever people were doing, they were doing at home only. No outdoor activities. You are not allowed to go anywhere. So there was very limited movements, and you were just sitting indoors doing nothing, staring at everyone in your family, just looking for ways to entertain yourself. And that somehow led to, because that's something even I personally did when I was bored. I would just go and cook something every other day. But yeah, when people did that, like to control that was something difficult. And because of that, now when everything is opening back, even like our colleges are opening, there are a lot of people that I hear them saying that I want to come back to campus, but I won't because of how I look now. I've gained a lot of weight, and so that is also a factor. Now they are not comfortable in their own body because of all that happened during the lockdown. And now they're like, okay, I can't face anyone. I'm not going out now because of the way I look now. And yeah, that is also a very big issue, that what people think about themselves, just because of a little, they've gotten maybe a little chubby or just gained a little weight. So that also requires some to some extent, some people might require that professional guidance as well.
Right. So far, if I were to sum this discussion up, right, in terms of understanding the contributors to dysfunctional eating. Now, I'm going to say dysfunctional eating here because we've had a panel discussion that talks about the difference between eating disorders and dysfunctional eating. And often they're used interchangeably, but that's not the case. Wherein eating disorders are much more severe and they affect your daily functioning. Dysfunctional eating, not so much. So we've had an entire discussion about this. So to enlist the contributors to dysfunctional eating, we've had social media. There are certain reels, videos, content on social media that make us want to eat a certain way or not want to eat a certain way. There are certain unrealistic beauty standards out there that, this body type, body shape is ideal, and hence, this is the goal. So make sure you alter your eating, alter your lifestyle in order to fit into that image. We've also talked about how emotions influence eating, and how the availability of certain food delivery apps out there, they might contribute to your dysfunction eating, especially in the context of a lockdown. Yes, Arpita, there's something else that you want to add?
Yeah, so just to add a little to your the first question you proposed to us about the beauty standards. So like as we all talk now, we all are aware of the unrealistic beauty standards that everyone is expected to follow, and the very toxic definition of what beauty is, and the whole idea of an ideal body type. So like at some point, most of us or a lot of us have come across that expectation to meet these standards, and we resort to and that leads us to resorting to things like controlling our diet in a very unhealthy manner, and in some cases people start starving themselves, or like cutting down the quantity of their meals to an extent which is not necessary and is actually quite harmful in order to lose weight quickly. And these factors lead to eating disorders and other ailments, and it is the most common in adolescence because we are it's linked to social media as well. And when we see celebrities, so they are following their diets and under very under professional guidance, but we are not. So to resort to those diets and methods is very harmful in itself. And even celebrities, numerous times, they need to look after their diet to keep their figures intact more than their health. So a lot of time people also confuse the idea of a healthy and fit body with that of a ideal figure type, which is also very harmful.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, Srija.
Yeah, I think one last thing I would like to add onto the last point that you said about eating being connected to emotions. So often what happens that people tend to seek their relief in eating, like they would face some emotions which are really uncomfortable for themselves to deal with, and they would find their refuge in eating. And for that momentary refuge that they try and find, they come up with a series of problems instantly, where they feel guilty about the same. Like for example, spending so much money, spending so much time, like maybe gaining some weight for which there is a like body image issue type. So in general, if we see it, it's also a tendency to move away from the reality and not facing their own emotions, which can also be a little bit of a problem in general. So like I feel like that there must be like one should try and adopt to more better and productive ways to express their emotions, like the same emotions like they when they seek relief in eating, that can be like which is often gives them a sense of like fullness because they are feeling empty. So like they fill themselves with food even when they're uncomfortably full, like even they take in food which they gives them a sense of fullness. And I feel like that can be changed in like some other ways. Like for example, you can go for some productive ways. You can actually go outside and take on some activities, like go for a Zumba class, or maybe go for a walk, or like some other productive and healthier coping mechanisms rather than binge eating, which has some serious consequences.
Yeah, you're right. Channelizing these difficult emotions into something, or channelizing the unhealthy coping mechanisms that individuals might have in terms of eating into something that is more healthy, more sustainable, is certainly one way to deal or tackle with this issue of disordered eating. Yes, Forum also wants to share something.
Yeah, just to add a few points to extended points to Shrija, that usually when people eat so much that they don't feel good. Post that, there is always a guilt trip which goes after that, and then they start doing dieting, and then they're starving. So it is again a kind of a cycle. So I think for the emotional part, that rather than also facing the reality, I think one should go and find out that what are their trigger points. That is it the taste, it is the certain negative feelings, or is it the environment? Maybe a friend or a family itself is promoting unhealthy or this dysfunction, or adding to this dysfunctional eating. So I think there are other factors also. It is not that always we can blame the person who is going through this disorder. Something that is also personal issue as well as environment matters. It is a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. When there is disordered eating, one might benefit from identifying certain triggers. What is it that is prompting me to resort to eating as a coping mechanism? Finding alternative ways of coping. That's something that we also discussed. I think Kirti brought out a point which was mindful eating, making sure that you're really focused on eating and you're mindful about what is going in your body. These are some of the things that we can certainly incorporate in order to deal with this issue in a better way. Another thing that I want to underline here is that sometimes when we are not okay and we feel that this is something which is not in our control, it is absolutely okay to ask for help. There is help available in terms of mental health professionals or nutritionists that might help you get in, find the right diet for you, find the right kind of exercises for you. So making sure that these things are under supervision from a professional is something that is extremely crucial. So that would be the final takeaway. So I think we're at the end of today's discussion. I am really grateful that you put in your insights and your understanding and had this discussion today, because this is a super important topic. And I'm glad that you're aware and you're open to understanding more about eating disorders and disordered eating. And I'm sure that, going ahead, you would acquire more understanding and share more insights, and we'll have more discussions like these. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, ma'am. We equally had fun interacting over this topic.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us to be the panelists.
Yes, ma'am. Like that was a really informative discussion.